I never deny. Yeah, I told you I would never fold, even in the cold. I never lose my hope, back against the ropes. The sun's flower from the concrete is where I rose. It's just perspective, ain't no location for highs and lows. I can't believe the lie no more, the truth is in my soul. Holy Spirit, hold my pen, I'm writing with a ghost. The war's on, my hands are up, I'm fighting on 10 toes. I ain't come this far, fight this hard to make myself known. And I can't switch sides no more, to focus in the road, yeah. And I'm trying to eat, yeah. My plate garnished with goals. I keep my faith, they Yahweh, keep subscribing to.
Evening. So some things have transpired, obviously, and I think it's incumbent upon me to explain where and why something happened yesterday. Now, I'm just going to try and wing this. I had it all planned out in my head, and it was good, and howdy, weed, Tigor. Now, Kelly, Lynn, welcome. Firstly, thank you very much for all of your very kind comments, support. I really appreciate it. Gee, 3-star. Linda, what happened? Firstly, I don't want anybody to feel any kind of responsibility. It's honestly something I think may have resulted from a misunderstanding. I'm not exactly sure, but in hindsight, funnily enough, I think this was a good thing because it's given me a little bit of time to reconsider certain things. And but I don't want anybody to feel like they are to blame. They've said something wrong. They've said something to offend me, or that I've gone off the deep end. No, I'm not. I'm kind of okay that way. I can take a few hits here and there, and it's not going to dissuade me necessarily from pursuing the truth. And equally, no, I haven't gotten to, or anything crazy like that has happened. No. So I'm going to try and keep this. I like to respect my confidences, and very important to me. Very important. Trust. My word is basically all I have. And so I'm going to try and do that because I don't want anybody running around pointing fingers or doing something. You know, I've noticed an outpouring. Apparently, you know, people have sent me all kinds of things all over the place, and I'm like, well, you know, honestly, I'm just a goof with a computer. I'm not that important, really, honestly. And it made me feel, to be honest with you, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. But I won't get into that too much. Now, I'm also somebody who doesn't really bitch or complain. I try not to have that about my nature. This whole process, not just Nova Scotia. This has been years I've been doing this, and it was a choice I made a long time ago. I walked away from things, and you know, life has been very good to me. And so what do I do? What can I do? What is my role in giving back? And truth is very important to me. People are important to me. People I don't know are important to me. So this is where I come from. And I never want to hurt anybody. I never want to censor anybody. Something was brought to my attention a couple of nights ago by somebody who I believe that I'm fighting for. Hopefully, I'm trying to do my little piece. This is my little piece. just my little piece. I don't know what all I can give. I can give my brain. I guess I can pay the money that whatever all this is and that kind of stuff. And that's about it. And my word and my personality. And I don't know what all that's worth, but I hope it's worth something, and it's not to benefit myself. But I can get into that in a little bit. Something was brought to my attention. I believe it was a misunderstanding. I don't honestly know because I can't look at it, but somebody kind of did for me. And this person was is very directly affected by this and this event that happened in Nova Scotia. And they were very hurt by certain things that were apparently said and some things that I had suggested in my observations. Now, to do with, take that at the vaguity. I think it was a totality thing, a totality message that they had sent me. They were upset that I hadn't said something about something that was said in the Discord, which frankly, I will swear on everything I believe in. I guess probably the most important one to me would be my grandmother's grave. Very, very special person to me. That I was completely unaware of what was said. And so I said that I was very sorry that this had been stated, if so, in the Discord. I searched my memory banks high and low. I don't think I had ever suggested anything or tried to manipulate people into thinking one certain element. Again, I'm trying to respect this all. So let's leave it that it may be something that has been building up. Okay. So you can't, please don't go and try and research it. I really, really am asking you that. Don't. Because yeah, I think it's just simple misunderstandings. And so they stated to me that maybe I was doing things for the wrong intentions. And that hurt, like I'm okay, like if you were aware of my channel prior to this, I mean, you would see, people would leave me all kinds of wonderful things. Sometimes I didn't get too many, but I would get, death threats or whatever. And I'm okay with that. You want to do something, you want to say something nasty about me, that's cool. If you want to say something constructive criticism of me, I'm all the more for it, because that's the way I'm going to learn and that's the way I'm going to get better. And if I'm a better person myself, then maybe other people around me will feel better too. So I tried to search my memory banks, what is it that I'm doing this for? And I know in my heart, but am I communicating something that's different? So the only things, I could come up with were money, ego, money for myself, money for Tara, and what's the other one? I think maybe that might have been it. Maybe. And those, I thought there were four. Those aren't, any of those are not true to the best of my knowledge. I don't like people talking about me. I really don't. It feels gross. I don't know how to describe that. I'm not a person, I like to kind of just do my own thing, but I have to speak up when I see something wrong. And I believe in sticking up for people that I think are being victimized, and the truth. Very important to me, the truth. So when this process started, my channel was monetized. I will make that declaration. The videos that I made almost entirely demonetized my account, as in, like, they just, as soon as I would make them, they'd say, no, you can't, gone. And I had registered it as a monetization because I wanted to add an administrator to my account, and in my techno genius, this was the way that I figured it out. I subsequently learned you didn't need to do that, but anyway, of course, this is my prowess with tech. But I registered it in some bullshit because, frankly, I don't like all the internet tech stuff necessarily knowing everything, even though they do. But, don't know about my bank account, don't know about, certain, try and keep them separated somewhat. So I think I registered in Bilbo Baggins at hotmail.com. I used to like to send him a lot of junk mail. And some stupid address that I picked out of nowhere. I think it was 911. It was an address that actually does exist. Muammar Gaddafi Way in Africa, a certain place in Africa. It's a hospital of the Aga Khan. Nice milker of good confidence man. Anyways, not going to get off topic. But, whatever 94 cents was going over there every month, because there was nothing there. Now, some things transpired when I came back to do YouTube. There was, and I still have very much a reason why, but then this all transpired. Now, prior to that, I had started back on why I came back to YouTube, kind of where I'm coming from. And I got into a bunch of trouble with YouTube. And so I moved all of my videos into private. Well, not just YouTube. I had some very interesting things. Let's just leave it at that. Very interesting things that transpired. And, some hacking and some other stuff. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to move those videos over into private and think about this here for a while, because I like to make sure I'm doing the right things and strategize. So, and then this all transpired a few weeks later, I think 2-3 weeks later. And so I started right away because Tara had reached out to me, obviously, that morning, and was quite upset, and that upset me a great deal because I don't like to see friends hurt. I don't like, and then to think about all of the tragedy down there, but it was a lot closer to home this time. So I started up, and as soon as I started up, I'll show you a picture. I'm kind of an evidence guy, right? I like my evidence. Excuse me. That's how I do it on the Googles, the Google Chromes. As soon as I made my first video, I got an email from YouTube. Well, it wasn't, I guess, my first video, but 2 or 3 days later, obviously, I got this email, and they said, you know what, your account is fully demonetized at this point. And I only had done videos about Nova Scotia. But I'm fine. Like, who cares? You want to demonetize my account? I don't give a shit. There was nothing there anyway, and whatever there was going to Africa. Because I understood that if you ask for money, my grandmother explained this to me when I was very young, if you ever request money or you're earning money from something, you have to be accountable for it. And people can call you out and say, why are you doing the following things? So you use your own money. This is what you do. And life has been okay to me. I don't have to live. Life was very good to me at one point, very good. And that's afforded me the ability to do what I do. So I just live kind of meager and do what I do. And then this all started, and it became something fantastic. I had always envisioned kind of people coming together, people who didn't know one another, people seeking the truth, good people, compassionate, caring, reaching out for one another, being there. And this event transpired, and the movement grew from there. So it took on a life of its own. I think in that process, it cost me a little bit more than usual. I'm not going to bitch and I'm not going to gripe, because that's not my way. But my days usually are devoted entirely to the truth and seeking the truth, and have been for at least 4 years, full time. But it took up a little bit more because I didn't understand the tech side, the Discord. I was getting a lot more communication than I was used to in other cases. Some really great people came forward and totally were other YouTube friends of Tara's. So you guys all know who those people are: Kage, Steve, Adrian, and then people subsequently came in, and you all know who you are, which is all of you, right? But it was intensive. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of stuff. I get a lot of messages. I have a lot of phone calls. I have a lot of emails. I have the Discord, which I try to do. I have the Tweeties. I have, multiple things happening. And in the meantime, I'm also still trying to gather data and go through things that people say, because sorting the truth from things and trying to be as accurate as possible with the truth is important. Yes, I theorize on certain things. That's absolutely true. I try to keep it from, space aliens, and just kind of trying to keep it on the focus. Where do we want to go? Where's my vision? And it is my vision. I'll be honest. But I think, frankly, a lot of you shared it, because that's why you're here. And that's why Steve and Kage and Adrian and Tara and all were in the same position, because we all do feel these things, like humanity's not maybe in the best place, and where do we go, and what can we do? And I've always been tired of people over the years saying things like, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but I can't do anything. I'm just one person. And I'm like, no, that's so not true. That's not the way my grandmother taught me, and she showed me from experience. You can make massive change. I mean, she was an old woman, and she was a lawyer, and she did a lot of fantastic things, which I won't get into, because that's just she liked that. She liked being in the background doing things, but she was known. She definitely is. So to hear that I had ulterior motives hurt. That I was misleading people hurt. I'll be honest. And to hear that I wasn't on top of things as much as I should have been. I try. I mean, again, yeah, I don't bitch and gripe. I don't like doing that. I don't like people doing that. But you know, I had my mom's birthday come and go, and I missed that. And I don't spend very much time with my girlfriend. She's very understanding, very good. I don't sleep in my own bed anymore. Now, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. And thank you, God, and thank you to them, all the people in my life, for being so understanding. But I have only so much. I can only do so much. I'm learning. I'm trying my best, and I try to keep everybody with their ideas, because if you say no to somebody, you know, shut it down, then you're not going to learn. I'm not going to learn. I don't know about you. I'm not going to learn. I learn the funniest things in the funniest places. So I've learned it's very good to understand other people and their ideas, and maybe they might not be right. Maybe my stuff might not be right. But if you talk about it and don't shut people down, then I think we're all the better for it. I really do. So I had to reevaluate yesterday. I had to step back and say, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Are the people that you're doing it for even appreciative? It's not appreciation I'm looking for. Does it benefit them? There you go. Does it benefit them? Is it helpful? Or are you harming things? And I make mistakes. I readily admit that. I make mistakes all the time. I'm fallible. And I can't sit here and say, oh my goodness, you know, certain people in the RCMP, shame on you, and throw stones at glass houses. No, I'm my biggest self-critic, but sometimes you need to be called on it. And I think this was a good process for that. I think there are going to be some changes moving forward, because I don't like to be the center of things. I do understand that I am more prominent just because I guess I have the channel and I come up here. But there are so many people working hard, and I've tried to work how to do that, and so we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out, because it's very important that other people have a real say, right? Last night there was a, and I'm sad that I didn't attend. And when I get to the point of the Zoom meeting, when I get to the point that I can fast forward through the Seamus talk, because it's I had to shut it off. I was just like, no, please, no. I just want to hear what other people have to say, because I'm not. I don't know how to explain that. I'm like my grandmother that way. Maybe, you know, she was seen, let's say it that way. Okay. She didn't like to be seen. She didn't like to accept Senate seats and those kinds of things, right? She just liked to be her own person and stand up for what she believed in, and give that of herself. I'm the same way, because what can I do? What do I have? I'm not exactly the most brawny person anymore. I guess I have a brain a little bit, and hence the name of the channel. And I have a computer, and I have lots of interesting things that the way life has presented itself. the way my life has panned out. You can come from different paths, and I didn't become a lawyer for reasons, and but I still have that background, right? It's very prominent in my family. That's all I grew up with, and debating and those kinds of things. I like learning, love learning, books and university. I love paper books. University is a bit crazy, and I had to say, I went all the time, like over the years. I never discontinued. In fact, I think now I'm no longer registered as a student at the University of Calgary. But it was just lifelong. My sister's like that too. She just keeps going to university, multiple professions she's in. She finally settled on doctor, kind of, and mom. So I didn't want to hurt this person. Back to the topic at hand, and I also saw some constructive, good criticisms of things like, Seamus, what the hell are you doing? You took all the videos down. Maybe somebody wants to see them. Maybe people want to read our comments. You're absolutely right. I just thought about it initially, and I'm like, am I doing things for the right people? It's a cost benefit analysis in a way, right? And the things that I maybe don't have, I give up in my life or whatever, is that worth all of it? To me, it is. Doesn't it? There's not a question. The truth is always worth it, and I will always fight. And that's just the way, I guess, I was built. Life showed me that too. You don't give up. You just keep going. And sometimes things will come along and they'll make you think twice or change things. So that was a very good thing. Another thing was kind of Seamus is kind of at the center of this. I don't even like saying that. I don't like to be. I don't like to be. If I want to be egotistical or whatever, I go start a cooking channel or a cat video channel or something silly that's going to get 10 gazillion views, and look at me, and I've got all these things, and I have bling or whatever. No. I just kind of like to be simple and look at what you're bringing, right? And hopefully operate within moral code that has either been instilled in me by environment or that I've learned throughout my life. I've made lots of mistakes, for sure. We're all human. But I try to learn, and also from the voice that speaks to me. And to me, that's God, and everybody has their own opinions on things, and I don't believe it's never my place to judge anybody else or on what they do or do not believe. I try my level best not to. I think sometimes I'm guilty of it. In fact, I know I am. I'm very opinionated. But I listen to that voice. And if the voice says something's wrong, if the voice says, keep looking here, if the voice says, whatever the voice says, I'm just going to go with it because it hasn't served me wrong. It hasn't. And look where we came. Look where we're going to go. People are noticing. That's we. And I've always tried to say it's we. It's just some goof with a computer. There's 39 other voices in here right now. Work out the statistics on that. 2.5%. I'm 2.5%. Not that important. So I wanted to apologize for my hurting this person, because that is absolutely not my intent. I want to apologize for my walking away. I did need to do that. I don't even really like saying that. I just needed a moment to think. I like to think, and I thought, if I go, it will be better. And I talked to a few people about it. Talked to some great people, some of you. And if I walk, well, that goes against everything that I am. I'm a coward. To me. I'm not saying other people. That's just for me. I don't like walking from things. One day, people, I suspect I'm going to meet a few of you. That will be reality. Look at my body. You'll see. I fight. You gotta knock me out. Otherwise, I'll keep getting up. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. That's an analogous physically, right? I'm not a fighter anymore, really. I probably couldn't fight my way out of a wet paper bag. But my family taught me that. Fight, always fight. Fight for what you believe in. Fight for other people. If they can't fight for themselves, try to bring out the good in others if you can. Try to bring the good that you have to other people's lives. And I don't do a good job sometimes. That's just reality. And I have to try my best to learn from my mistakes. But I hadn't set out to hurt this person. I hadn't set out to hurt anybody in this process. People are like, oh, maybe somebody who will say, you should kick so-and-so out. And I say, no, because you know what? I trust in all of the good brains that God gave us all. Maybe somebody will figure out that maybe this person has different intentions. Let's say they want to be disruptive. They want to balkanize. I always have it in my comments. Balkanize. They want to split and divide us. I'm not going to play that game. I just won't. I won't. I don't want to censor people. I want to hear. I want to learn. And the comment that was apparently said, I believe, was maybe based on a typo. I'll have to go back. I obviously removed myself from the group. I put my videos into private. I did not delete them. Their comments are still there to the best of my knowledge. I will put them back up. People can decide for themselves whether they feel I'm a total nut bar. If there's anything that they can take through our research collectively, is there anything in there that benefits them? Funnily enough, I think some things that we've been saying for a long time have been coming true. And I thought maybe I might close with that. Would be an article that Paul Plango wrote. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. He actually reached out to me and said, "Where did you go?" Interesting. I didn't know. So people are paying attention, and I'm honored in my very uncomfortable and humble position to be a part of something. So let's see. And that's just due to you. Now, where did that article go? That's not it. Oh, there we go. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, there we go. Okay. Very good article. Very good article. Now, I might not agree with 100%, and you take from it what you want. But I think it's pretty fantastic because there's a lot of stuff in here that we've been saying for a while, some of it. And some of it, I don't discuss because that is what people have asked me to do. They've said, could you respect my wishes on this? I say, absolutely. I want to try and keep trust with everybody. I'm not trying to withhold things from people. It's more like, can I find something out from somebody and maybe they can point me in the directions and that way I can use that and we can go there. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't need to say, this is what somebody told me. No. Sometimes it's just the breadcrumbs. I'm very big on breadcrumbing. Epic failure. First duty of police is to preserve life through the Nova Scotia, I believe this is the article, through the Nova Scotia massacre. RCMP saved no one. Hopefully my reading, this is quite a long article. He said it was over 6,000 words in his email. Thank you very much for reaching out to me. Thank you to all of you, even though it made me feel weird. The RCMP has claimed it did its best trying to deal with Nova Scotia mass killer on the weekend, 18th, 19th. But the reconstruction of events by the Halifax Examiner strongly suggests that police force made no attempt to save lives by confronting the gunman or stopping his spree at any point. Quote, public safety and preservation of life are the primary duties of any peace officer, said a former high-ranking RCMP officer who asked for anonymity out of fear of retaliation by current and former law officials, law enforcement, who are vigilant about any criticism of policing by those in the field. Don't say shit, otherwise we're going to come after you. Really? Is this, if they're willing to go after their friends and, quote, family, what do you think that they have in terms of respect for you, me, our kids? We're not part of their family. That's kind of been shown. Quote, as far as I can tell, the RCMP did nothing in Nova Scotia to save a life. This is coming from RCMP. Nothing to save a life. Sound familiar? Sound like something we've been saying for a long time? They weren't ready. It's embarrassing to me. Right on, brother. Or sister, right on. Who wants to be part of embarrassment? This is our big claim to fame, our cultural identity, right? Even though we don't have one. The little teddy bears that people from foreign countries come and get with the Mountie uniform and the Stetson and the $50 bill formerly and all those wonderful things. Kind of a bit of embarrassment. BBC, by the way, also had an article in there yesterday. Still making federal or international news. Joe Rogan had a 5-minute mention apparently on Nova Scotia. This is getting big, people. That's because of you. They weren't ready. It's embarrassing to me. The entire thing was an epic failure. Based upon interviews with other current and former police officers, witnesses, and law enforcement on emergency service transcripts and transcripts, it seems clear that there was a collapse in the policing function on that weekend. At no point in the 2-day rampage did the RCMP get in front of the killer, who the Examiner identifies as GW. Now, I might disagree with that, but fair enough. To me, it's Gabriel Wortman. He has a name. I don't want to see his face disappear from my mind. Really don't. Want to keep it there, front and center, along with certain other people's faces. It also seems apparent that some of the Mounties, many of whom were called from distant locales. That New Brunswick department. Were stunningly unaware of the geography and landmarks in the general area as the RCMP tried to keep up with Gabriel Wortman. Sources within the RCMP say a major problem was that communications between various RCMP units was never coordinated. Everyone was on their own channels, the source said. Nothing was synchronized. They could have all gone to a single channel and brought in municipal cops as well. But for some reason, they didn't. It was like no one was in charge. I don't believe the business about this was just an accident. 54 minutes of dead air on the last EHS tape I edited. Really? Lots of stuff happening. Fires, people dying. Very silent. Switch to the top. Switch to a different channel. Look on your tablet. RCMP fully encrypted. Get some really nice response times here on some messages from other departments and things. RCMP Chief Superintendent Chris Leather said in the days after the incident that the RCMP was responding to a, sound familiar? Dynamic and fluid situation. That's called psychological warfare. Don't worry, don't look here. Quote, the fact that this individual had a uniform and a police car at his disposal certainly speaks to it not being a random act. I'm going to have to wonder. Police car, multiple police uniforms from multiple departments, as in Halifax, and RCMP, and a badge. The car had radar guns in it. If I was to tell you somebody had uniforms, a badge, and a full working with communications car, what would you think? With cages? Do you think maybe police officer? Just saying, just been saying for a while. Quote, the fact, in the days and weeks after the shooting, RCMP spokespersons, very interesting because we have to have multiple, because some people have a little bit more presence than other people. Those of you who don't have a presence know who I'm speaking of. Repeatedly portrayed the gunman as clever, Gabriel Wortman as clever, psychotic criminal who had conceived what had essentially been a brilliant plan to dupe police and evade capture. This subtly changed in an interview with CBC earlier this month. Darren Campbell said there'd been no evidence that there was a pre-planning of the mass shooting. I showed the other day how CBC had inserted this video after the fact. The lengthy interview, which you never got to see. Funny that. Even though all the families, please watch. We're gonna show you that. Oh, sorry. It has to do something with CBC. It'll be on Monday. We promise you. We promise. It'll be on tomorrow night. It'll be on tonight. It'll be on Monday. Just gone. You get a press article, though, on Monday. But no video there. After the fact. After the fact. Then you put the video in. 5 minutes long. Lawyers. Lucky. CBC. Federal government. Crown prosecutors. Editors. That's why you'll never see it. As chaotic as the situation might have been for the RCMP, it is evident that the force failed to contain the shooter. Sound familiar? No barricades. Funny this. On the evening of April 18th, as at the initial multiple crime scenes in Portapique Beach area of central Nova Scotia. 13 people were murdered that night, and cats were rolling, in which might well be described as the first massacre. First portion. As has already been acknowledged, the RCMP did not set up roadblocks and perimeters around the area. Funny that. Were we saying that since the beginning? One day, a compilation maybe somebody, not me, would ever do of all the things that were said that just peter out now and will. Funny that. Good research, great people. This is what it's based on. Good brains. Thank you, God. Appreciate it. God bless everybody. Even though it knew within minutes of arriving at the scene that the shooter was already armed and likely on the loose in a replica Mountie police vehicle. Not sure about the replica part, but we'll leave that for now. On April 19th, the second massacre took place. Unlike the night before, the RCMP knew beforehand who the suspect was, how he was dressed, and what kind of vehicle he was driving. A replica RCMP vehicle. The RCMP had sightings of the killer that morning, and again, inexplicably, did not seal off roads and highways to try to contain him after numerous 911 calls about sightings. 9 people, including RCMP Constable Heidi Stevenson, were murdered that day. Good language. Thank you, Paul Plango. Awesome. Sound familiar? Sound like something else we were saying? Sue the piss out of them because they are directly responsible. Directly. And there is no doubt about it for the deaths of the next day. The 9 people. Absolutely, without a doubt. No question. don't need to wear a tinfoil hat. That is absolutely on the record. Why? Because they chose to cover their own ass with the Twitter, because they don't want things that are going to come out. They're going to come out, I assure you. No matter how hard they try, this time, they're not going to succeed in burying the truth. I don't believe. I pray hard every night. Not going to succeed here. Not with all of you. Wow. Boom! Preservation of human life is generally accepted to be the ultimate duty of all law enforcement officers in critical incident management. How about just a massacre when something really bad goes on? We don't need the fancy languaging. That's RCMP lingo. In basic training, all Canadian police officers are taught to understand that when confronted with a life-threatening situation, the priority of life is demonstrated in this order: hostages, innocent bystanders, police first responders, and suspects. Do we have hostages that night? Essentially, basement, right? Anybody who was holed up in their home. Anybody. Kids, specifically. Do these police sign up for that job? Well, you bet your bottom dollar. And they get remunerated very well for that. Why do they not respond? RCMP has said that officers responded to the original incident employed a tactic known as immediate action, rapid deployment, IRD. Awesome. No, they got all kinds of fancy names for things. Just a lot of dead bodies on their hands is what really actually we have. With such training as well described online. So there's a link to this. By the way, I will leave the link, to Paul Palango's excellent article. Please spread it about. Let's continue the conversation. Just like BBC's. Can't shut her down. Joe Rogan, even though I don't like the BBC at all. We're all in the same bed. Quote, we are taught to move past injured victims and attack the situation, said one current RCMP member. If the suspect is in a building, we use a T formation. If he's outdoors, a diamond. You typically need 4 officers, but if need be, you can do it with fewer. The point is to neutralize the suspect as quickly as possible and prevent further injuries or deaths. Think that happened? You think that happened? Ask those kids. Ask Clint. How about you ask all the people on the 19th? How about Heidi Stevenson's family? Or Joey Weber's? Kristen Beaton? Or unborn baby? In spite of what the RCMP has publicly stated, in spite of, law enforcement sources and others have told the Examiner that the first RCMP responders did not actively intervene after arriving on the scene. After discovering a considerable number of slain victims around a property on or near the road, the officers retreated. Seamus doesn't retreat. I know you guys don't retreat. Clint wouldn't have retreated. Ooh, well, what the hell happened? Retreat? Do they get paid a lot of money? Do they have lots of fancy toys and guns and stupid psycho babble lingo that they don't have? Mr. Wardman? No. What we get is dead bodies. Fellow citizens. and their legal tactics to try to avert responsibility. I'm not too big on people who avert responsibility. You stand up. You take it like a man or a woman. Come on. Wow. What we got also, discovering a considerable number of slain victims, was the kitty cat rolling around. Don't want to use the emergency alert? Might come out what's really going down, RCMP? Who Mr. Wortman really is? Don't want that. Let's try and keep people in the dark as much as possible. Don't care if they die. Let's save our reputation and our asses. Criminal. To me, that's criminal. That's criminal. Very difficult to prove. Maybe someday internal documents. Maybe. Around the property, the officers retreated. Sounds like very good policing. Taking care of people. Safeguarding them. To a point, those kids. To a point near the top of Portapique Beach Road where they congregated to wait for reinforcements. Does this sound familiar? Again. How long has this channel people been saying it? Long fucking time. You sat at the end of the road. You did nothing. Except the good ones who went in. The ones that deserve to wear that uniform. Frankly, the whole thing needs to be demolished and rebuilt with good people. Independent of, as much independence of the government as possible. Can't have this thug force, this intelligence unit. We don't need it. We don't need it. What we need is kids to be preserved, their lives to be saved. We need people who go out for fuel oil to be able to go out for fuel oil. We don't need fancy fucking cars and ghost chameleon cars. That got removed. That tweet, they got so much bad replies and negative responses from people. And frankly, I think people need to stand up. They don't have power. That's only false. False. You asking questions is not criminal. Them not responding is. Several RCMP and law enforcement sources say that a corporal from a nearby detachment who was the initial supervisor on the scene froze in place to the distress of other Mounties. Imagine your boss is like, I can't. The corporal later ran into the woods and turned off their flashlight and hid. How much do they get paid? How much do they get paid? That officer continues to be off work due to stress leave. 100%, they're getting paid. They're probably plus $100,000 salary. Plus benefits, plus retirement for hiding in the woods. Because that's what they were trained to do. Meanwhile, all of those people were dying. Or did die. Because I don't believe the bullshit that he was out of there by 10:35. Get out of here. Come on, think about it. Yeah, he drove around. He did everything in 34 minutes. I assure you, everything was done. Houses burned, hostages, people were being tied up. He was just driving up and down the road, chasing people in the woods. No problem. And then he drove around down on the beach. Yeah, in his 4x4 cruiser. Get out of here. Fucking lies. Brain, all we have to do is use it. The officer continues to be off his work on rest leave, getting paid. Some veteran Mounties say that there were likely number of factors which caused the first Mounties on the scene to hesitate. It could have been inexperience. Maybe there was no backup, and there's always Canada Labor Code thing. Oh. Listen to this. This is brutal. I can't believe I didn't pick up on this. I did read, I had totally even read this stuff and I overlooked it. I just saw the guns, the new, they all got new guns. New toys, gotta get them, said one longtime Mountie. He was referring to the $550,000 fine imposed on the RCMP. Imposed on who? Who? Do they have to pay? What does that come out of? Their pension? Should. Any of these fuck-ups should come out of their pension. Maybe it'll help them to be more responsible, because they can't know that just in their heart. I need to be responsible for bad actions. No. That comes out of your pocket. So, frankly, it doesn't matter. We'll just pay the $550,000. We'll just pay the $10 million. It doesn't really matter, because it's all come from the same place. Your pocket. Your kids' pockets. After 3 Mounties were murdered and 2 injured in the shooting rampage in Moncton, June 4th, 2014. Since the Labor Code decision, all RCMP members on patrol are trained to use assault weapons. Okay, so now we got bigger guns, more guns. Should be doing more work. Every Mountie carries a Colt C8 rifle with a 30-shot magazine in their patrol cars. The high-powered gun is considered an upgrade to the American AR-15. Because don't you know, we have people running around doing this everywhere. You want to become a fucking military. I love that commercial. Somebody did a video about that, about the Don Dunphy thing, and he featured the RNC recruiting commercial. And honestly, it does look like something from Navy SEALs, United States. I mean, they're crawling around in mud. They've got all these black uniforms on, vests and guns every which way, and swinging out of helicopters and all this bullshit, and coming on boats, these black boats and shit like that. Everything's blacked out. You think they're SWAT people? Like, not SWAT, sorry. You think that they're like SEALs attacking a country, attacking citizens, maybe leaving them to die while cats roll around. Because they want to cover up. That's the important thing. It's not a mistake, but it is intentional. The little switch, remember? The little switch, just dial a little bit forward. I can't see that. Why would they do that? Of course. Good people would say that. We're not dealing with good people. Since the Labor Code decision, okay. Quote, they were in a bad situation, said the Mountie. Of no doubt they were, said the Mountie. Quote, their duty is to save lives. But whoever the supervisor was, he or she might have been thinking that they could be criminally sanctioned or go to jail if they send officers into a life-threatening situation. At the very least, it could end their career. That's how the Labor Code fine is interpreted, even if police are supposed to be exempt from it in all the performance of their duties. Did you get that sentence there? Or a couple of sentences? That they could be criminally sanctioned or go to jail if they send officers into a life-threatening situation. At the very least, it could end their career. Don't go in there. It's dangerous. We might get fined. So you know what? We'll just leave those people to die. That's okay, because that's what we're supposed to do. Squeeze me? What? Leave people to die because it's our officers might be in jeopardy. This sounds like a great job, actually. Frankly, in a different life, if I wasn't working in the shit think tanks that are at the top and I had totally crap morals, I think I would go get a job here. You get paid a lot of money. You get let off of a lot of things. Get to do some cool things, some of them rather shady. To have like an army of people behind you if something ever came awry in your life or whatever. To brotherhood. And you don't have to go into life-threatening situations. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Unbelievable. Wow. Others have suggested that the RCMP, called what has become known as in policing circles as the FIDO. Fuck it and drive on. Let's get this in bigger, because it's got to stand out. The FIDO. Fuck it and drive on. Because that's going to save those kids. Right? Right? Kitty cat? I know that there's lots of good RCMP officers. I know that they signed up to do the tough work. I know that they did do some of that night. I know that. And I've known about it for a little while. And this article confirms it. I didn't think it. I knew it. There are things I know. Just can't necessarily talk about. I do say them. I just can't get into specifics of how. Moving along. Meow. Hashtag meow. Hashtag meow. Yeah, this is what they should be bombed with. Hashtag meow. Hashtag 911 saves kids' lives. What that means is that police can deliberately avoid dangerous situations and delay or wait until everything has calmed down before making a move. Well, let's see here. If he's massacred everybody as he's rampaging around for how many hours? Not 34 minutes. How many hours? And then he decides to leave and they let him go, because that could be a dangerous situation too, don't you know? Confronting him could be a dangerous situation. So don't. Just let him go. It's okay. Then it's kind of calm. Then they can make their move. Then they can go in. I think they should be called coroners, because that's what they do. They come and pick up bodies after they've been killed. Hashtag per. Exactly, the kids. No excuses. There's no excuses. These people, honestly, I'm calling on them. I'm calling on them to reach within themselves, feel that voice. You want to call it God? I call it God. The conscience. What about if it was my kids? What about if it was my granddad? I really would want them to be treated like that. Maybe that should be part of their training. Perhaps, obviously not. I wouldn't say that. But perhaps, in a fucked up, crazy world, terrorize their kids so that they understand if they're really that far off track. I would never say that, of course. I just did, but don't, nobody's advocating violence or anything crazy, but it's the identification in your own mind. What if it were me? What if it were my family? Would I want people sitting at the end of the road, running off and hiding and turning off flashlights and hiding behind bullshit? Like, we might get fined and the taxpayer might have to pay a little bit more money. Huh? Wow. Boom. Boom. Ouch. Let that soak in. Let it soak in. Those of you police officers who are out there, the great ones, think about that. Your friends. How about if you're off duty? How about if you're off duty? You want this policy in place? Maybe they don't know where you live because they bring them in from New Brunswick. So they don't know. What news? My good friend East Coast. Working hard. Hard people. Everybody in here working hard for the truth. What about it? That means they're not going to come in and save your kids, Mr. Policeman. They'll think twice about it. Within an hour or so after the first call came in, Staff Sergeant Aaron Carroll. I miss you, buddy. Good friend. Lots of good friends. Lots of great friends in here. Good fucking people. Wow. I know that lots of you are going to go in and save another person because you would on the street. You're going to stop if a person needs a tire change. You're going to hold that door for that person behind you. You're not going to cut somebody off in traffic. Because what if it was you? We're going to get our consciences all back, and we're going to start with ourselves. Best place to start. Including me, very much so. That's why I made this video. Within an hour or so, the first call came in. Staff Sergeant Aaron Carroll took over as the officer in charge and at the command center set up in the RCMP detachment in Bible Hill. Sources say that Carroll did not attend the scene. That is not known precisely, and it is not known precisely what he did or did not do. Good people coming forward with information. Thank you. You know who you are. It is noteworthy that his son, Jordan, an RCMP constable, was the second officer to arrive on the scene in Portapique. A knowledgeable source has told the Examiner Staff Sergeant Carroll retired from the force 3 weeks ago. You smelling it? Because it smells worse than, what is it? I can't remember the name of that dish. Ludovic? No. Scandinavian countries like to eat it. Fermented fish. Very stinky. Very stinky. Party was held on June 27th. Funny. Commander you don't cross the line. It's your last day on the job. 3 weeks ago, now not working. A little bit coincidence? Why is there all these coincidences? Got it from various online auctions. As the Mounties maintained their static position at Portapic Beach Road, tensions were rising. It was a shit show, one Mountie said. Some of the frustrated Mounties wanted to follow their training, move forward and attack the situation. Clint Ellison. We sat there till 4 p.m. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. There were gunshots going off everywhere. Is that 10:35? Very bad math. 34 minutes, 4 hours. 5.5 hours. Which one do you think is true? Which one? Despite their warrants, which are written. 20? He was walking on the beach with his brother. 22nd? I was at home with my brother and my dad. He says. The 22nd? Sorry, 24th? Warrant. He was walking down the beach with his brother. Can't tell somebody what they were doing. Sorry about that. You weren't there. An RCMP tactical officer from Cole Harbor, who was called to the scene, became frustrated with the fact the Mounties were not attempting to move their fixed position. As in, sitting at the end of the road, I don't know, having a smoke with their thumbs up their ass, hiding in woods. What do you think they were doing? Parcheesi? Bingo. Hangman. Maybe they were studying their nice fancy guns. Well, don't worry about it. It's shiny. It never gets used because we don't have to do anything. Fido. Fuck it and drive on. Oh, not this guy. Not this guy. Just like a bunch of them. Oh, it's your last day. Save lives and possibly confront the killer. Was not attempting to move from their fixed position, save lives, and possibly confront the killer. When that Mountie and another said that they were going to go down in the area, an unknown supervisor told them, this fellow, 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Conscience? Hope he doesn't have kids. Very hard to sleep at night, isn't it? I don't like to play that card. I really don't. Calling on people's consciences, because it's a tactic. But it's true. How do you look at yourself in the mirror? Doing what this guy did. Said that if they were going to go down on their own, an unknown supervisor told them, if you go down there, this will be your last shift on the RCMP. The Mounties held their position. They got their man. They held their position. Fido! They got their man. Fido. They got their man. Fido. Taxpayer money, we don't care. It comes out of every which hole because debt is really great. We'll rack up as much as possible for our real overlords. Very afraid of going in. Or is that just an excuse? I think maybe. The RCMP has refused to release its own communications that night and transcripts for them, but interviews with transcripts of communications from nearby Truro Police Department and Emergency Medical Services, along with other already noted sources, help fill in some of the gaps and paint a picture of the chaos inside the RCMP. Chaos. Scary situation. Scary. I have no doubt. I respect brave people. And there were lots of brave people. But there are lots of fucking cowards. Those people don't deserve respect. Those people don't deserve a job. Perhaps they can gather trash on the street. Clean toilets. Because they're pretty scary. Maybe they can sell phones. Fido phones. Fido. Fuck it and drive on. Fido phones. In the days after the shootings, the RCMP gave 3 different versions of how long it took the force to respond to the first 911 call, which was at 10:01. First, they said the officers arrived in 12 minutes. 12. On April 21st, the RCMP said the first call came in at 10:30. The next day was corrected, saying the call came in at 10:01, with the first roundies responding to the scene on 10:26. And what are we up to now? 10:36. What are we up to now? Oh, 10:26. That's right. So 4. We don't know. We work for you. You're our boss. We can't tell you. Sorry about that. Think about that if that's your job. Try this. Try this with your job. Those of you who are working. Can't say a lot of people are working now. We're just racking up that $343 billion plus all of the other programs in debt. More than 14 years worth of debt in a few months. Pretty great. Who do you think's benefiting? Anyway, moving along. Try this with your boss. I'm not going to tell you anything. You don't need to know where I am. It's ongoing and fluid, dynamic. See how long you last in your job. That's called getting fired. Fired. Some of these people absolutely have consciences. Some of them don't. They're playing for the other team. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Greg, Nova Scotia citizen. I love my good friends. Internet friends, albeit, but good friends, good people. A local man was driving out of Portapique Beach Road when the killer, in his replica cruiser, approached him from the other direction and shot at him in his vehicle, wounding him in the arm. According to the search warrant documents, we read all those, obtained by the Examiner. Thank you for publishing that. I believe it was Paul Palango, funnily enough. Was it Paul Palango? I believe so. Or Tim Bousquet, one of the two. Sitting out there in the courthouse, tweeting things out immediately. Even though we had a change in the judge, who was more friendly to the RCMP. Let's keep this all redacted. No, you don't have to release it now. The COVID is fully on. Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to tell your boss anything. It's okay. Even though the perpetrator is dead. You don't need to say how many times Chad Morrison was shot, because that doesn't really matter. Because that's a national security or ongoing investigation bullshit. Yeah. The man told investigators he drove up the road, met a cordon of Mounties waiting there. You know, the ones playing hangman, finger up the bum, maybe also probably the ones with the cat gifts. You know, the ones RCMP likes to put out all the time, kitty. They do it all the time, by the way. Don't know what their fascination is with cats. It sounds almost like bestiality or something. I'm not sure what's going on over there. And, you know, again, I use humor, stark, dark humor, to get through to the great officers that are in there. You're in an embarrassment. Get out and start singing, because people need you. The people you swore to protect need you. Those families need you. Police sources tell us the man told the Mounties that he believed Gabriel Wortman, name, was in a marked police car and had shot at him. This occurred sometime after 10:26 and before 10:35. See? Fourth time. Not 3, 4. Well, we don't really know. Perhaps the lady with the, should I say lady? Constable who was on scene, she just didn't have a radio, you know, with the flashlight off, hiding in the woods, pissing her pants. Their pants. Fluid. That's fluid. That's like glitched leather fluid. Fluid in their pants. When the vehicle was last seen in the area driving across a field to Brown Loop, which is about 200 meters to the east of where the police were positioned. Now, let's use the logic here. Remember how Campbell said in subsequent interviews, we went back and obtained information which established that a vehicle was maybe seen driving through a field at 10:35. The languaging they use, sketchy, on purpose. Very, very on purpose. What was it? I was saying somebody very good today, another great person. They said, we were talking about that. They mentioned something and I said, oh, it was the language they always use. Oh, right. We had no knowledge. We have uncovered no knowledge. Any knowledge. Sorry, English bad. We have not uncovered any knowledge of a special relationship with the RCMP. Well, if you knew about it before, do you think you uncovered anything, or do you think you knew about it before? And what does special relationship mean? It's a kind of special relationship that has a badge, uniforms, radar gun, cage equipped cars, uniform. Is that a special relationship? I think that might be the kind of special relationship we're talking about. Might be coming out of somewhere else. Mr. Big. Do you think he drove across the field? Brown Loop. In his 4x4 cruiser. I have some video. Somebody did go down there and get a little bit. I'd like somebody additional to go down there. Have a little look at the road. Drive that road with your car. Let me see. Can you go down that field in your car? Maybe. I don't think so. What kind of perimeter do you think was set up? Because it certainly didn't stop them. But that was because there was no perimeter. Even though they were in Great Village having a beer or something like that. Those ones that were not abiding by the FIDO, of course, right? Not playing the hangman, checking the Faceberg, doing whatever the fuck they're doing on your dime. Definitely not taking out people that should be probably neutralized. I don't like that word either. I don't even know how to phrase that. I'll just leave it alone. Getting their man. How's about that? Getting their man. That man's report is the first time, as far as we know, that the RCMP were aware Gabriel Wortman was in a police vehicle. If you listen to this part, nowhere does it say anything about the car was identified as an RCMP cruiser, and we saw it. And we clearly knew that it was Mr. Wortman, and we saw the number on the car. Because think about it here. It's dark. It's at night. Do you think they saw something? Or is that a little bit of funny games going on with the RCMP? Because they don't want to tell you that he was running around just like Clint did. Tell you. Bombing, shooting, fire, hostage taking, burning people alive. They don't want to tell you that. What they want to tell you, oh, by the way, he went through the brown loop. Brown loop. The brown ring of fire. That man's report. Really? Because that man's report, to the best of my knowledge, I couldn't stand corrected, but I have never seen any evidence that this man identified the car. What I have heard is Mr. Campbell say, a car. We have knowledge, we've uncovered knowledge subsequently that a car may have driven through a field at 10:35, and we believe that to be the gunman. Right? In the middle of the night. No. You can't recognize who it is in the dark. Staying down there, shooting, bombing. That's why I put that in the shit video I had. You know, the cat rolling around and there was gunfire. Good night, Faye. Good night. Thank you. Special prayers. Because they don't want to admit how long they left him in the FIDO. Hours. Like Clint told you. He told you before he said he was totally crazy. That wouldn't be coerced now, would it? Was it somebody else, funnily enough, came out and said something about mental illness recently? Oh, yes. Well, I can't talk about that. Interesting. A lot of threats of mental illness and people getting stuck in homes for saying things. Just saying. What news? Hashtag meow. At or around 10:45, the killer and his vehicle are later identified as passing by a residence on his way to Debert, where he arrived at 11:12. He parked his car behind a welding shop and stayed there for 6 hours. Again, I would say if we're using, let's see if I can find that picture. What is the proof of that? That the RCMP have furnished ranks right up there with all of the other spectacular video pictures that you have seen from surveillance cameras. You know, those ones where you can see who it is, what the number of the car is, even if it's an RCMP car. How about that? Let's have a look. Let's see the proof that they're using. Oh yeah, by the way, this is for sure Gabriel Wortman. We know it. We have lots of cars in the area. But this is Gabriel Wortman. I don't think so. Let's see. Do 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 do. There we go. There you go. That's the proof. There you know. You know that's Gabriel Wortman in that car. In that taxi. I mean, police car. I mean, whatever it is. Because that for sure is him. Psychological warfare. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have no doubt, Ozzy. I have tried to give as many people credit and underscore that. This is not a solo effort. It's not. So you all have my thanks. All Nova Scotia is thanking you. All Canadians are thanking you. You're rising to the occasion. There you go. That's the proof. Because you can see that RCMP logo. Oh, don't you see the number? And the driver, of course. Look at how well you can see the driver there. That's excellent. Let's see, the driver would reside about here. Is that correct? Is that correct? Oh, I don't see anything except a flash of light. Oops, gas lighting. We could call this the gas lighting right here. You know that's him. You know it in your good mind. Of course that's him. If now the RCMP have things that differ with this, I would like to hear them. I would like to hear the witness that knew he stayed behind a welding shop for 6 hours. He just had a little nap, little nappy poo. I know they're fighting, but they're still kind of looking because there's good policemen out there who were doing their job that night. Maybe this was one of them. Don't you think? Could be. Running around looking. Could also be a taxi cab, for fuck's sake. There's no identifiable anything on this. None. Zero. Zip. No timestamp. No date. No nothing. In fact, even the direction of travel is rather questionable. If you know where that is in the day. Let's see, do I have that? Somebody's great work. I wish I could credit everybody and say names and shit. I can't even remember my own name anymore. I haven't for years. Well, I think I still do. People say it and remind me. Where the fuck is this? Okay, here we go. My foul language. Pardon my foul language. Here we go. Plains Road. Looks like he could be driving northbound. Yeah. So it could be right. But what date? What time? What taxi number? I mean, police car. I mean, who's driving it? I mean, until midnight, the fires raged. But the RCMP held back the fire department. Thank you. They did protect the fire department. Yay. Win. You didn't throw other people in jeopardy who did nothing but sign up for their job to try to save people. How about the firemen? Do you think the firemen would react well if they're just like, fuck it and drive on? Would that go over well? You know what? There's a fire there. There's children burning. Don't worry about it. We'll go in when the situation is calm and the house is totaled. Seriously, think about it. Police, the fire people, would they do that? Ambulance people? But you know what? That person looks like they're a little bit out of control. Maybe they might scratch me. I don't want to deal with it. Fucking go on. I actually heard that once at a hospital. It was horrendous, and I got so angry. So angry. They asked me if I wanted Valium. I said, discharge me from your fucking institution now. I don't care if I die. They wanted to say that some woman who had smelled bad. Nurses were all laughing around the nursing station, talking about their fucking goddamn contract keeping me awake. That's fine. It's an emergency room. You want to talk about your contract? Okay, that's good. I didn't get particularly good service, but whatever. I know, somebody I used to go out with, obviously, was a nurse. I have a very hard job. I have a lot of respect. Again, this is individuals. You got to base on individuals. But somebody came into the emergency room, and they clearly were very alcoholic and had defecated and urinated in their pants. Not a pleasant situation. So what they did was they said, oh, ha, ha, ha. You know what? We said to another department that they have communicable diseases, so they have to deal with it. Ha, ha, ha. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? What did you just say? Excuse me, sir. Calm down. I'm like, no. That woman needs you, and you're dumping her off with somebody else because you don't want to deal with the smell. I'll go and help her. Till midnight, the fires raged, but the RCMP held back the fire department. At least 2 people were hiding in the woods. Okay, now we got 2. And then there were 2 hiding. One was Clinton Ellison, who had found his brother, Corey, dead on the, what? Oh, that's right, road. Not on the beach, RCMP. Not on the beach, because they weren't walking on the beach, RCMP. He was dead on the road. First-hand witness statement. You can't tell somebody else what they saw. You cannot say that. Lochai. You cannot tell a witness. One of the most memorable statements I ever saw, and certain things just stick in my brain. Abdi swears he saw 2 gunmen. Police say there was only one. I'm like, okay, they weren't on scene. Abdi was. How do you tell a witness that they didn't see something? No, you didn't see it. I promise it. You're wrong. And stalked by the killer who was using his flashlight in all that 34 minutes. As he's flying up and down the road in the RCMP cruiser, shooting people and tying up people and burning them alive, subduing them. Let's think about this. You knock on the door, the person opens the door. Is there going to be people that fight back? He has to subdue them. Oh, but he did that. He did that all in 34 minutes. Don't worry. Clinton was right in there too. And he's driving around on the beach. He probably set up a little lemonade stand while he was down there. Fuck you, RCMP. You know that's lies. Stop it. The other was GW's girlfriend, who later said she escaped by being handcuffed in the back of a former police car and ran into the woods where she was reportedly stayed till 6:30. And then Mr. Jowdry she goes to Mr. Jowdry's house, but he doesn't say anything for a month. GW's girlfriend, Gabriel Workman's girlfriend, who has a name. who may be just a total innocent bystander in all this. Could be. I don't understand why they are, by the very sounds of it, from the RCMP in protective custody if Mr. Wortman is dead. But anyway, moving along from Bizarro World, she hid out in the woods. Mr. Ellison hides out there. He gets hypothermia. She's rather spindly. He is not. I'm sure he put on a jacket, figured out, what to do when he was going out. She's escaping from a car, crawling over guns. Through that shield. Come on. Get real. She's fine. I just hid out in the woods. Don't worry about it. Moving along. Nothing to see here. RCMP is responding to firearms complaint. Firearms complaint. This is after the kitty cat an hour and a half later. An hour and a half later. How many bodies do we have? Let's just go with. How about this? Let's just go with, which we know is bullshit, right? They escaped there by 10:35. Let's go with that. You're telling the truth. Sure. We're all fucking idiots here. You know that. I think, with your fancy acronyms and we used the emergency alert. Oh, no, you didn't. Let's just go with it. You told the truth. Well, let's see. You knew about it for over an hour. You knew about all those bodies for over an hour. You knew about all the fires for over an hour. You knew about the kids hiding for over an hour. What is this? Oh, we got BB gun. But prior to that, for an hour, well, the hour and a half, we had a kitty cat. Lock your doors. Please take care of whatever. Stay in your house, COVID. While we're running around hiding in woods. Like, gotta call them out. Gotta call them stupid. Sorry. Doesn't add up here. Doesn't add up over in the Discord. Doesn't add up over here with great people. Doesn't add up to the people I talked to on the phone. Didn't add up to Tara, certainly that night. And it doesn't add up to me. Steve, Adrian, people with brains, good brains, not. The RCMP put out its first alert on Twitter at 11:32. It read, quote, RCMP Nova Scotia maintains a scene on Portapic. This is an active shooter situation. Sorry, what? That's not 11:32. That's not 11:32. Because if it is, then I'm really fucking in a hole. That is what time? Do we know? Can somebody tell us in the chat? I'm assuming that's a typo. Let's see here. Bollocks. That's next morning, isn't it? We had the weapons complaint all night. Did we not? Did we not? Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Let's see here. You know where I'm going, don't you? Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? Oh, there's the kitty cat. You see him? They love the kitty cat. Meow. Oh, here's a dog. Lots of cats. They like the cats. Oh, Nova Scotia's wrong. Perhaps that's at the end of a road. While they're fighting or killing men who are sitting on their stoop with BB guns that aren't pointed at them. because, you know, they learned their lesson so well. Let's see here. I'm going to have to stand corrected, maybe. Uh-oh. That wouldn't be good, would it? Fuck off. Yeah, whatever, Tweeties. Oh, sorry. That was a misprint. Oops. Paul, I have a lot of respect for you. That I don't know if that just slipped by your editors or what that was. That's at in the morning, not at 11:32. Uh-oh. I hope that gets a very big line that says correction. I really do. Not to be critical, but it's very good because it's important that people know that this wasn't taking place in the evening. This post was there at 11:32. Not this one. This one's not true. That's 8:02. 8:02 in the morning. RCMP did not alert two municipal forces on either side of Portapique. In Truro, 20 minutes away, and Amherst, 45 minutes away. This is significant in both police forces. Most of the members have tactical training, a necessity in small departments where any officer could find themselves in a difficult situation without much or any notice. Both police forces have considerable numbers of officers primed and ready to go. Sounds like the emergency broadcast. On the Truro police communications log, thank you, Paul, for finding that. Awesome. You know, we got a couple real heroes going through here. You know, it might not be 100% on everybody. It might not be 100% here, obviously. Might not be 100% on the Discord. Might not be 100% with Mr. Palango. But people are really digging out things and trying to put them together because the RCMP are fucking bullshitting with people. Unbelievable. But he's getting lots of good stuff, just as we all do here, right? Thank you. Team, very much a team thing. All working together. We're working with Mr. Palango. Mr. Palango's working with us and the Faceberg people. Awesome stove. Communications log at midnight. The department received a call from someone at Colchester Regional Hospital. Not from the RCMP. No, from the hospital. Reporting that they had a gunshot victim from Portapique and advised the hospital is in lockdown. And advised. Truro Police Sergeant Rick Hickox called the RCMP 6 minutes later at 12:06 looking for an update. When did the RCMP get back to him? Oh, that's right. They returned his call 49 minutes later. Another police department. Can we come in and help? Can you tell us what's going on? Oh, yeah, we'll get back to you. Don't worry. We're fighting right now. We're fumbling and figuring and pissing our pants. Fluid dynamic. Pissing. It's the yellow stripe. Later at 12:55 to inform the Truro police, active shooter in Portapique, although Gabriel Wortman was long gone from the area. That one, I question. People are free to disagree. 3 minutes later, 12:58, RCMP dispatch calls advises shooter is associated with former police car, possibly with a decal on it. Yeah, because now what are we up to? What are we up to? They knew about this at 12:26, like we said, somewhere very early on, 12:26, 12:35 in that neighborhood, or sorry, 10, right? 2.5 hours later, even though the person directly told them it was Gabriel Wortman. This is like playing Clue with, and again, I don't use this term to be disparaging upon people who have mental difficulties. I really don't. To me, there's retards, and then there are, people who have mental difficulties, and they're usually really great people. But this is retarded, like really retarded. They don't want to tell anybody because they're so secretive. Oops. Well, if you get involved, we might have answers we have to give. Uh-oh. So we'll just tell you, it's got the Baskin Robbins logo on it or something. Yeah, 2.5 hours later. 9 minutes later, at 1:07. God, these logs are awesome. I'd love to hear them or just read them. 1:07. Maybe I'll ask for them. See if we can get them. I don't communicate with Mr. Palango really, but thank you. My protection has been updated. RCMP issued a BOLO. Be on the lookout for Gabriel Wortman as an active shooter and suspect. Okay, so they got that figured out, right? Probably we're getting into the time that maybe he might have gotten out. Maybe. The RCMP idea, I don't think so, though. I think now they're beginning to shit their pants. They don't know what's going on. That's why the Twitter line follows what it does, right? You follow it. The first 911 calls that they're getting from other areas, then they're like, oh, we better put out a tweet now. We need the plausible deniability. We need to, because we got to get ahead of this and then be able to say to people, well, we told you so. That's why we used the emergency alert, didn't we? No, we didn't. We used the Twitter, the Tweeties, and the Facebergs. No, you didn't use the Facebergs. Even that lady didn't know. Because it was fluid and dynamic. What did she say? I think it was directly, she said that, fluid and dynamic, or it was an unfolding situation or some bullshit, the same old fucking garbage words, psychological warfare bullshit, which is so transparent. Only people who are not looking at it honestly and don't want to see the sad, grim reality of this are missing it. At 1:07, therefore, the RCMP clearly knew the identity of the suspect and that he'd killed many people. Didn't they know that right away? 10:26 to 10:35. They knew that. Not at 1:07. The RCMP was not sure how many because of the fires that were still raging. People being burned alive. Horrific. Very sorry for all these families. Sorry, and I'm sorry. I am. I'm deeply sorry. I don't even want to discuss these disgusting details. In fact, I'd rather not even deal with the story. I kind of like to sleep in my bed, maybe. But that being said, this is what I chose. This is what I like. Truth, goodness, and people. But I like the truth. Don't have to have a very good memory. Don't have to use the Tweeties. Don't have to play fuck games with word salads. Yet the RCMP advised police departments outside the scene to look for an incredibly dangerous person, but did not themselves or ask anyone to put up roadblocks or lock down the area. They're still playing hangman or Facebergs on their Fidos. Fuck it. Move on. Drive on. Those taxpayers, they might have to pay a bill if we go in. So, use that as an excuse. That sounds reasonable. because those same people aren't paying our salaries. This is like so transparent. It's upsetting. It's to good brains. This is just absolutely insulting. Most importantly, in his tweets, the RCMP fudged markings on the car. The local man who was shot by Gabriel Wortman told them it was a police car. RCMP described a former police car with a Canada decal on it. Why the obfuscation? Obfuscation, avoiding. Why are you trying to blur muddy with waters? Obfuscation, muddy the waters. What are they hiding? Oh, this is all going to start to pile out. Somebody said something about that maybe might happen. Maybe. Informed sources close to the investigation say it was around this time that the Amherst police officer was told that the RCMP did not need their assistance because Mounties had deemed it a situation to be a murder-suicide and that the shooter was dead. I like this part. This is spooky. Amherst. But of course, we know it to be true. Just like the mental and the coercion, mental homes and the coercion and the charges, and people are going to lose their kids and whatever else they're holding over people's heads. But it's garbage. Garbage. Let them come. Then you get to challenge them in court. Amherst police chief, and then subpoena a lot of people. Amherst police chief Dwayne Pike denied in an interview that such a conversation took place. When told about the chief's denial, the original source persisted in his claim. Sounds pretty certain. Quote, municipal forces like Amherst depend upon the RCMP for lab services, the source said. They don't want to say anything to piss off the Mounties because they will cut them off from the labs. That would cost the locals a lot of money. The RCMP plays rough and local forces know it. So they keep their mouths shut. Think some other people down there are keeping their mouths shut? Think the RCMP may have helped that along just a little bit? Like Clint Ellison, like some other people? I think this would be a very good time to get rid of RCMP labs. How about that? Let's remove that stick. They don't need it anymore. We don't want them to abuse that. We'll just have publicly funded labs. Sounds like a good idea. Not run by the RCMP. No. You didn't play well in the sandbox. Sorry. You lost that. We're taking that one. Okay? Now you can't use it as a threat over other police departments. Threatening other police departments. Yum. These people are really classy. Wouldn't want to be part of this organization, that's for sure. Unless I was really bad. And if I was part of it, I'd certainly speak out and want to clean it up. Chief Pike said recently in an email response from the Examiner that his force was still putting together a timeline for the force's involvement that weekend. What? What's the date here? Oh, that's right. April, May, June, July. Kind of like the kitty. 4. What do they have? 3. 4 months. Month 4. You still don't have the times that your police department was contacted. Sorry? Do you think a criminal case works like that? There's actually a Supreme Court finding on that. It would get dismissed. Well, not quite, but pretty close getting there. Back at Portapique Beach, the RCMP, back at Portapique Beach, let's flash there. The RCMP continued its investigations into multiple crime scenes. It obtained a search warrant for the killer's properties at 200 and 287 Portapique Beach Road and 136 Orchard Beach Drive. In the search warrants, it cited human remains as one of the things that they were looking for. And it might be a bit of a Smurf thing, but whatever. Let's just, The RCMP remained silent until 4:12 when it told Truro police about a Ford F-150. Oops. So we know the Ford F-150 is somewhere. Where's the Ford F-150? 2 minutes later, it's not burning up. Where do you think it is? 2 minutes later, at 4:14 a.m., it updated Truro about another vehicle. 10 minutes later, 4:24, the RCMP provides a list of vehicles that might be noted driving and noted, quote, "He's still not in custody. We've been playing masturbating or doing something at the end of the road. Only our good officers who we're going to fire went in. Sorry about that. Fido. Running around burning. The RCMP didn't know where the killer was. They knew that he'd killed about a dozen people by that time. Oh, they knew it. They knew right away. Some of victims have not yet been located. But the force did not send out a provincial alert. Set up roadblocks around a greater area. No. We don't need any roadblocks. We don't need any emergency alert. We're fluid and dynamic in our pants. Or according to Leather, he thought they did, but derp, he's the guy in charge. Well, actually, he's not. Bergerman is, but he thought they did. He thought that they did, and he said it in a press conference. Well, I think we used the emergency alert, didn't we? He has to ask somebody who is a communications expert. PR, garbage, right? Got to have that, because this is what you need to obfuscate and play funny games, fluid and dynamic games. And she didn't know the answer exactly, but she kind of had a rehearsed line. What was it again? Oh, we used the Twitter and the Facebook because the situation was still unfolding. So he, the boss, has to ask somebody that is way down, what's going on here? And then he just stands there and he's like, that, like, literally. Let's see. Let's listen to that. It's good. It's a great quote. Definitely one of my, I got a few favorites. I want to make sure I got the right one because the sound. Let's see here.
And as it relates to the use of the alert system versus...
Look at him smiling.
Oh
my.
And as it relates to the...
my.
And as it relates to the use of the alert system...
Look at him smile.
Versus, Twitter, perhaps my friend from communications can speak to that. I believe there was an Amber Alert that went out at some point.
No, we just used the Twitter account just because it was unfolding.
Right.
We were in contact with the province.
Sorry? Right? Oh, yeah. Oops about that.
There was an effort to get one out at some point. There was an effort to get one out at some point.
Oh, my. In its communication, the RCMP seemed to be suggesting that it was searching for Gabriel Wortman. Clamp it. I'm tired of listening to your bullshit anyway, actually. In its communications, the RCMP seemed to be suggesting that it was searching for Gabriel Wortman, dead or alive, but it still hasn't done anything proactive to preserve life by obstructing possible paths if he were still alive. We're fighting. Dear. Bye, Miss Fox. See you later. Have a good evening. Thanks. Good to see you. Thank you for your wishes. The videos will be back up, by the way. So they're not doing anything. No. It's okay. We don't need to stop him. We don't need roadblocks. We don't need anything. It's okay. We're just not going to be looking. In the overnight hours, the RCMP say it was busy clearing the various crime scenes in the Portapique Beach area. These would be the probably very good officers, the ones that went in and saved the kids and things. The super spectacular. Oh, well, sorry, whoever had to go, I apologize. I try. I wish I could read everybody's stuff. I can't hardly. On some foreign beach. Oh, that's where somebody is. Maybe two people, for sure. Anyways, my apologies. Whoever had to go, good night, and thank you for joining us. It is not clear how many Mounties were at the scene, where they came from, although some eventually were called in from No, we don't need your help. We want to keep this in-house. We want to keep this as silent and controlled as possible. Possibly, it may have something to do with the fact that he's from New Brunswick. I know lots of you know what I'm talking about. Perhaps the New Brunswick people may know a little bit more. They're awfully silent. The RCMP has not been clear about any of this, stating at times that there were 30 members there and eventually 100 resources. Here we go with the trash language. Resources are in the ground. That's what we mine. Fish, that's a resource. Wheat, that's a resource. Not people. Sorry. Whatever that entails. I like that. That's a good addition. Whatever that entails. Transfixed as it seems to be with the nightmarish crime scenes, the force seem to have been put the notion that the killer was alive out of its collective thoughts. No one seems to know what he was doing in Debert. Well, I would hazard to say that's because he's probably not in Debert. Probably not in Debert. Oops. Oh, Debert. Sorry, that I'm out of. He's in Debert at this point. Some police sources have suggested that GW was perhaps in touch with the RCMP during this period. I've heard this before. He was doing a little bit of cat and mouse games with them. Here's where I am. Come get me. Don't know if that's true. I can't remember who told me that. Somebody. It is known that the RCMP crisis negotiator was on the scene in Portapique, but Superintendent Campbell denied to the CBC in an unpublished. Reference 42, Wikipedia. How about that news interview? Oh, yeah, the one that they slipped in the other day. It was made 20 days ago. Look at the times. Not there. Go to archive.is. Or the Clinton Ellison removal of his little chastising of the police. That the force had any contact with the killer during the overnight period. Where's this interview? I'd like to see it. CBC works for you, works for me. Why are they obfuscating? Why are they not telling you? Strange. They should be telling you, shouldn't they? The media is there. That's the media's job, to hold things accountable. This is the premise of media. Governments, organizations, people accountable. Not seeming to do that. Would it be maybe because they're controlled? Maybe. Just maybe. Don't want to tell you nothing. While the RCMP was putting out bolos as perhaps a hedge, by his actions over the next few hours, the force seemed to be convinced that the shooter was no longer a threat. By 6:30, many of the Mounties on the scene at Portapique, including the staff sergeant from Bible Hill, were allowed to go home after the long, grueling night. Yeah, he should. He should. I like this guy. Rocco's pretty good. And I don't agree with him on 100% of the things he does, but the Comer case was fucking unbelievable. Of course, you don't want to hear about that. Never want to hear about that. No, can't tell people. Informed sources say that the new incident commander was scheduled to arrive on the scene at 10 a.m., possibly from, quote, the Valley. Valley girls, do, Valley girls. RCMP remains on the scene in Portapique. This is an active shooter situation. I think somehow this, it just got muddled here. There were some typing errors, printing errors. But sadly, it'll get misread, which is unfortunate. In the interim, the RCMP put out a tweet at 8:02 reiterating that the shooter was still active in the Portapique area. Now, why would they say that? Why would they say that? If he's camped out, there should be nothing going on, right? Or is this the gunfight? The gunfight that they spoke of? Superintendent Campbell or Superintendent Leather? Superintendent. Super nothing. Super ball sniffer. The gunfight? We engaged the gunman. That one kind of slipped under the radar that night. This made the Truro police anxious. Corporal Ed Comier immediately called the RCMP at 8:03, looking for an update. 4 minutes later at 8:07, the RCMP responded with an updated bolo, elaborating on their tweet. Gabriel Wortman, arrestable for homicide. I thought he was dead. Oh, now he's alive. Advise of a fully marked RCMP Ford Taurus. Do you think by this point, 8:03, they were getting 911 calls out of Portapique, and now the cat was out of the bag. Now, the shit is really hitting the fan. Oh. What do we do? What do we do? People are going to know. Could be anywhere in the province. Last seen loading firearms in a vehicle. Vehicle photo will be sent when available. Sorry? Sorry? Could have asked Mr. Walker if he let people know. He would have had it, I think. This information reportedly, lots of people would. Reportedly, actually, I don't know that, obviously. I'm just being facetious. Lots of people would have known, had it. I think it was on his Facebook. I mean, come on. Brr. Brr. I have pictures of his garage. I have pictures from his garage with the shelves and all that bullshit from his from Facebook. Not that hard. Got him right away. Right away. This information reportedly came from the killer's girlfriend, who apparently came out of the woods at apparently came out of the woods at 6:30. However, this bolo did not provide much more information than the one at 12:58, 5.5 hours earlier. Very, very apprised, keeping up to speed on stuff. Their fluid dynamics. It added that firearms, interesting, something was, but any reader had to presume that Gabriel Wortman had firearms in the earlier bolo since he was described as a shooter. Still, while dealing with other police agencies, Gabriel Wortman could, quote, be anywhere in the province. So far as the public told, he was still in Portapique, Gabriel Wortman. Yeah, don't worry about it. People were waking up. The Facebook was starting to go. They're like, what the hell just happened in my neighborhood? Oh, we don't have anything to say. People on the Facebook did. Lots of people found out from the Facebook. And the RCMP did not engage the local municipal forces in Truro, Amherst, and New Glasgow area, or even Halifax, an hour away. There are more than 900 Mounties employed in Nova Scotia. This, I did actually need to know that one. Thank you for answering. He's just got barrels full of information, of course, because he's very knowledgeable on this stuff. In various capacities, only a relative few of them were called in. But, Mounties, however, did enlist the help of RCMP members in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, from Moncton, and as far away as Fredericton, a 3-hour drive at the speed from Portapique. People were going home and going to bed, but they were bringing in people from New Brunswick. Why do you think that is? Ask yourself, why are they bringing people from New Brunswick in? There's a reason. I'm going to go some helicopter, one of 4 used by the Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources. They called that in. I think that's a federal department, isn't it? Well, I guess not. Nova Scotia Department. Is that federal? I guess not. Look at the color. Probably would have some logo on it. Helicopters everywhere. Helicopters flying around. Helicopters in Portapique. Helicopters flying around everywhere. Just can't find him, that guy. Some expert police observers said that in interviews that the attempts to locate the killer and pursue him would have benefited from the use of a helicopter, but the RCMP did not employ helicopter in Nova Scotia. No helicopter was employed during the overnight hours as well to conduct the search. Now, that's contrary to Mr. Ellison. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. Lots of you know lots of things. Quote, obviously you do. The RCMP has 9 helicopters across the country, but as far as I know, never had one in Nova Scotia, said the former executive level RCMP in an interview. It's renewing contracts. In renewing contracts with the RCMP, it appears that the government of Nova Scotia has taken a position that a helicopter is unneeded, frail, and dispensed with the idea. They don't need lots of these toys. They need to get their ass in line and their act together. Get rid of all of the shit that's ruling them. That would help. You could bring up some really good police officers who really want to do the job. It should be separated from the federal government as much as possible and quit giving these guys big guns, tanks, and fucking helicopters, boats, and all this bullshit so that they can fuck around and lie. How about just give them some good training? Tell them it's their responsibility to go in if there's a dangerous situation. Don't hire people that aren't going to go in. How about stop dealing with criminals? Criminals? I'll leave that very open-ended. Very open-ended. I have my opinions. That was a big mistake. The questionable leadership of the RCMP and questionable leadership of the government of Nova Scotia failed to appreciate the changing dynamics of police. The force needed a helicopter that weekend, didn't have one. 22 people died. Some of those lives could have been saved. So give us more toys. We need more toys. Because we can't go down a road, but we need more toys. Until I had an article, if anybody can ever dig that up and send it to me, I'd love it because I can't remember. I don't think I filed it away, sadly. And it was about a tour that the Colchester, whatever, policing board or something like that was given of the RCMP and their toys. And they refer to it as toys and how they had all these fancy toys. They're very proud of their fancy toys. I would love to see that article again. It was a pretty good article. Until 2001, the RCMP had an agreement with the Provincial Department of Natural Resources, which commands 4 helicopters. In return, Informed Resources say the DNR was allowed to use the RCMP forensic labs. Here we go with this bullshit again. Take it out of their hands immediately. No more labs for you. You know the soup Nazi? No more labs for you. No more. No more. No more. Sorry. The RCMP denied that use in 2001. So the DNR stopped allowing the RCMP to use the helicopters. In the intervening 19 years, whenever the RCMP required the use of a helicopter, it either negotiated with armed forces or it paid private rental companies to get one. The relaxed attitude of the RCMP in the early morning hours, as in sleeping and stuff, on Sunday was evidenced in a video shot by CBC at the RCMP Command Center. Oh, this would be good. The former Fire Hall in Great Village. Emergency response team members standing in a circle, chatting away. A board mountie wielding, oh yes, he's got his big gun. C8 paces around and back and forth. You remember that quote or that clip? It's all over the place. They're just kind of hanging out. Another mountie helps the local firefighters roll up some hose. Like Clint said, guys are just all hanging out there doing nothing. After this, things began to get hairier. Here we go, that excellent photo. Oh, this is the 543. Where's the 10? That 543 is, I guess it must be. Where's the other one? I'll have to pull it up, the 11. whatever clock. It's the same shade. Not decipherable. None of them are. None of those pictures would hold up. None. I guarantee you. I'm not bullshitting with you. Just legal wise, none of those pictures would hold up in a court of law. Absolutely zero. Zero. A judge would laugh at them. There would be an objection so fast from the defense, and they'd be like, boom. No, sorry. Can you see anything? Can you see a number? Do you have a time? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, sorry. Completely inadmissible. Can't show it in court, can show it to the public and BS with people. At 5:45, surveillance cameras record a no timestamp the leaving of Debert Industrial Park as he began a 40-kilometer drive to Hunter Road in Wentworth. He is believed to have arrived at the house of Sean McLeod and Lana Jenkins at around 6:30. McLeod and Jenkins were apparently murdered in their beds. McLeod's 2 dogs were also killed. Gabriel Wortman killed neighbor Tom Bagley, who had come to investigate, the volunteer fireman. And we have quite a spread of time and some people who have times with that. And I would throw those into the timeline. For some unknown reason, the killer lingered at the McLeod property for 3 hours. At some point, he set the house on fire and left at 9:35. According to security camera, it is not yet known that he was doing what he was doing when he lingered there. Again, I'm going to have to go back and find those times from witnesses. At 9:43 a.m., Toronto police were notified by the RCMP about a dead woman in Wentworth on the road. Advises RCMP car was seen in the area and there was a loud bang. The killer had... Oh, we got a helicopter here. We got 2 of them. Complete waste of money. Sorry. I don't know who this is. Hello? What's up, man?
Oh, fuck, it's been a hell of a fucking day.
Steve joining us on the phone.
Oh, shit. I had a feeling that I just felt this vibe. I'm like, I bet you he's streaming right now.
Yep.
I just had this vibe. I don't know why.
Reading an article, that great article I sent you from Mr. Plango, or Mr. Plango probably sent it to you also.
Yeah, he did. I didn't, I actually haven't read it yet because I've been out on a boat fucking tubing all day.
Out on a boot or on a boat?
Out a boot.
Oh.
Tubing.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you read it. Yeah. Glad to hear you're streaming.
Love you, Steve, says Ozzy.
Yeah, I love everyone there too.
Yeah, no, Steve does awesome work.
Except I probably love you the most.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave that one alone.
Everybody make Seamus uncomfortable.
Yes, please continue to do that. That's great. Thanks for the advice.
All right, man.
All right.
I'll catch up with you after. Text me after.
Yeah, I'll call you in a bit.
Okay.
Bye. Steve's doing really hard work. Adrian's doing hard work. Thanks to you, those who joined the Zoom. That's out of Steve's pocket. See, people just paying stuff. That's fine. It's all good. Nobody wants money. Just thank you ever so much for participating, because the participation, aside from the mention of my name, is awesome. So next time, hopefully we'll have more people do it more often, and maybe we can stream it. There's an idea. I'd love to hear it. The killer had advised that RCMP was in the area and there was a loud bang. The killer had shot retiree Lillian Heislip, who was out for a morning walk, unaware that he was in the area because an alert had just been issued as she had just left the house. I believe actually this one, I think is wrong. It should be about 9:20 or 9:43. They may be notified. 9:20 is when she's killed. The RCMP flooded the area and thought it had the killer contained, even though a 911 had told them that he was had been seen driving eastbound Highway 4 towards Truro. Thinking that they had the killer trapped, the RCMP again failed to mobilize in an attempt to find or stop or capture him. As it had in Portapique, the RCMP did not call for the help of other forces, did not set up roadblocks, call a helicopter or track, contain, or attack Gabriel Wortman. How do you stop somebody if you don't have roadblocks? This is special needs. Instead of calling in local police, which is the advisable thing, but of course they're counting on you to just say, "Oh, it's a stupid RCMP." No, very intentional, very intentional. Don't want to have that get out of local control, or in-house control. Then we can keep the secrets buried. Instead of calling the local police for help, the Mounties relied on their own. Some from far away and from an entirely unfamiliar with the territory, and couldn't even find the roads. Intentional, but very stupid. Again, one couldn't find the RCMP building in Bible Hill just outside Truro. Do they not have the Google stuff that comes out of Facebook, out of Israel? The what is it? Maps, Google Maps, Waze, I think it's called Waze. Anybody ever wants to read about that? Another indicated to a Truro police dispatcher that he didn't realize there was a hospital in Truro. Further evidence of the communication disconnect between Mounties and their commanders, and between Mounties and their other police forces, was how messages about what was going on in the Wentworth area were disseminated. At 9:46 a.m., a RCMP officer at the Colchester Regional Hospital told Truro Constable Comier that the force believed that it had the killer pinned down in Wentworth. 2 minutes later, Truro Constable Thomas Wyden reported that he had heard informally from the RCMP that the killer was headed towards Truro. The RCMP was not formally engaging the Truro police. Keep it in-house. Secret kitty cat rolling. Then, at 10 a.m., RCMP Chief Superintendent Chris Leather, the number 2 in the province, and the Chief Criminal Operations further added to the ball of confusion. He sent out an email to Truro Police Chief Dave McNeil that the RCMP had the shooter pinned down in Wentworth. But that wasn't true. What Leather later told reporters is that he meant Onslow, 30 kilometers to the south of Wentworth, an 8-minute or so drive west of Truro. Maps? GPS. By now, the killer was heading back to the D-Bird area where he had spent the night overnight, parked in behind a garage. Despite the fact that 13 people had just been murdered just west there in Portapique, there was still no roadblocks or impediments to his travel. 9:48, Gabriel Wortman visited the house of a couple who he knew lived on the 2900 block of Highway 4 in D-Bird, just north of the intersection of Highway 104. The couple hid under their bed, a gun cocked and ready. The killer backed off, continued moving south. Gabriel Wortman left without harming them. The couple later called 911. I don't quite understand why he didn't kick the door in if he was burning and shooting people, but maybe he had a change of heart. I don't know. Whatever. I'm glad he didn't, obviously. Fuck. Horrendous. 22 people. At 10:04, the RCMP sent out a tweet asking people to avoid the hidden hilltop campground in Glenholm, which is near the couple's home. But Gabriel Wortman wasn't there. he had moved on to Plains Road in Debert, where he killed Heather O'Brien and Kristen Beaton, 2 Victorian Order nurses who were driving in separate cars. The RCMP later said that the killer pulled them over and then corrected the statement, saying he hadn't. The force has still not explained what really happened. They're getting sued for that. Remember? I think we were over here saying that right when it came out. Oops. That press conference. Those press conference streams are great. Lots of changes that came out. Near Onslow, the killer passed a Mountie who was driving the other way, because there's no police cars in the other, anywhere in the vicinity. So all those surveillance photos, of course, have to be him. Durr! The unnamed Mountie, thinking that he had just seen the suspect, is reported to have turned around and pursued him, but lost sight of the killer. There was no RCMP backup in the area. Although the killer had been spotted, the RCMP did not issue a province-wide alert or take any action to impede or stop the killer, with the ultimate intention of pressing life. Sure?
And as it relates to the use of the
Smiling.
alert system versus Twitter, perhaps my friend from communications can speak to that. I believe there was an Amber Alert that went out at some point.
No,
No.
just use the Twitter account just because it was unfolding.
Right.
We were in contact with the province about it, but we just never apprehended the suspect.
There was an Amber Alert that went out at some point. There was an Amber Alert that went out at some point.
Oops. Right, of course. Number 2. This is number 2. Doing a number 2 in his pants. Although the killer had been spotted, the RCMP did not issue the province-wide alert, or Mr. Leather thinks so, I don't know, smiles, to take any action to impede or stop the killer's ultimate intention of preserving life. Isn't that nice? Preserving life. I like that, if you can do it. The killer then headed to Truro, where he drove down Walker Esplanade and Willow Streets between 10:16 and 10:19. There's a problem with the timeline. Got to get it out, map it out, map it out. It's good. Then headed south of the town toward Brookfield, where he was driving the silver tractor. Oops. I mean, the cruiser. Oops. We don't know. In the Twitter line. The Truro police were entirely unaware that he had done that until the video surfaced a week later that week. No times, no dates on many of those, and no clear photos of anything. No faces, no car numbers, no anything. Meanwhile, the RCMP finally had negotiated the use of a helicopter from the Department of Natural Resources. A source later close to the DNR said the department was told that the helicopter would be used to scout Portapique Beach Road fire scenes to ensure that the fires had not spread into the woods. I don't know why Clint's saying they're using it. The helicopter with a Mountie on board took off from Portapique. The pilot was never instructed to hunt for the killer in his readily identifiable mock RCMP cruiser. Oh, readily identifiable. What's readily identifiable about the cruiser? You can pick it out from the air. It was the only one on the road in the area that featured a push bar or ram package on its front bumper. Boom! How long has this been over here? Good job, guys. Gabriel Wortman is currently moving along. Back in the Truro area, more than 12 hours since the first alarm went out in Portapique Beach Road, the RCMP were still playing catch-up. Fido, Hangman, Facebook, I don't know. At 10:21 a.m., the force tweeted that Gabriel Ortman was in central Onslow and the Debert area quote, in a vehicle that may resemble what may be an RCMP vehicle and wearing what appears to be an RCMP uniform. By then, he was long gone, but the tweet or whatever else the RCMP was saying in its internal communications may well have provoked one of the strangest incidents that day, known incidents. There he is running around in the RCMP cruiser, but you also get the tweet that he's running around in the tracker in Onslow, or sorry, Brookfield, a few minutes later. What? Where is he? What is he driving? Oh, we got to have this shooting now. Around 10:30, two Mounties emerged in a black Hyundai Elantra. Thanks, Sharon, for talking to us. Real nice. Sharon's really nice. I like Sharon. And started firing towards emergency services worker outside the Onslow Fire Hall Brigade. The Mounties shot up the fire hall and just missed hitting people inside while causing considerable damage to equipment. One of the Mounties went inside the fire hall for a moment and then left. The two left in the Hyundai. Apparently, they didn't ask how anybody was doing. Just dropping off some bullets in your fire hall. No problem here. Sorry about your engine. We'll be leaving now. While you're still hiding behind tables that we need psychological services for. Now, preserving life. No, that was endangering life. And they didn't even check. Thanks for caring about us. 5 minutes earlier, 10:25, in well-known security video, the pulled into the lot of a business in Millbrook, got out of the car, changed out of the RCMP jacket into a yellow vest, then got back in the car and headed south towards Shubenacadie, where two RCMP Constable Chad Morris and Heidi Stevenson were driving separate vehicles to meet up at the intersection of Highway 2 and 224. They shot at the EMO guy because he was wearing a vest, apparently. When did the tape come out? Oh, that was much later. Was he wearing the vest at the time? No, he wasn't. How did they shoot up a guy in a vest when he wasn't wearing a vest, Mr. Warden? This is strange. I guess it just must have been an accident. Weren't even reading. Illiterate. But don't worry about them, because they're back at work. Those ones. They're back at work, apparently. Do you know that? You just shoot up fire halls. You don't check how unannounced. You don't check to see if anybody has been injured or killed. You haven't clearly read whatever description they had floating around because he wasn't wearing a yellow vest. And for that, you get to go back to work. But if you go in and you cross the line, well, you're fired. Oops. 10 minutes after changing into the vest, the killer pulled up beside Constable Morrison, who was waiting by the side of the road for Constable Stevenson. He fired into the car, striking Morrison in one hand and out the other arm. One day later, he has a sling from a bullet going through the arm. Really? Really? Where was Chad Morrison? Warrant says he's exit 9, Highway 2, near the AHS station. Shot blank times. Morrison apparently radioed for help, but the media has not been privy to that communication. Has the media been privy to anything? Privy slang for toilet also, right? No, not privy to shite. A Nova Scotia EHS tape widely circulated around the internet indicates that around the time shortly after Morrison was shot, paramedics responded. In the conversation with the dispatcher, a paramedic describes a member. Uh-oh. Remember, we were talking about this? And here it is. Boom! Boom! I'm glad Mr. Palango's getting it out. I'm glad we're finding a couple of things that maybe might be helpful to him. I think there are a couple things. And definitely, we were talking about the shot in foot thing a while back. The paramedic says he cannot be transported the patient to the hospital yet because he has to first recover a gun that the officer left in the woods and lock his police car. Uh-oh, the RCMP has not confirmed any of this. Let's see here. Who was that? Do I still have that photo? Oh, of course I do. It's somewhere. Where do I have it, though? Where do I have it? Oh, yes, here we go. Want to see Chad Morrison shot in the foot? Here he is. There you go. See how badly damaged his foot is the next day? Oops. We have an unknown person shot in the foot with a gun dropped in the woods because, he was getting chased around in the woods in the middle of the morning with a car that's been abandoned. Abandoned car. At 10:48, the killer slammed his vehicle into that of Constable Stevenson at the traffic circle connecting highways 2224. The RCMP said Stevenson engaged the killer, but witnesses say he shot at her through the windshield, then dragged her out of the damaged vehicle. He then executed her with multiple shots as she laid on the pavement. He set his and Heidi Stevenson's vehicle on fire. When passerby Joey Weber stopped to help, he was killed. The killer dragged his guns and paraphernalia into Weber's Chevy Tracker and then drove off. I believe this is actually a Ford Explorer, but who's counting? I think the Chevy Tracker needs to disappear because that's in the timeline, and it's a kind of a bit of a problem for the RCMP, which have never addressed the Twitter timeline, which is obviously complete mayhem with reality. Also, we're not talking about the highway exit 9 and the physics of this accident. I just are perplexing, really perplexing. Of the accident between apparently, I'll use that in capital italicized, underlined, in quotations, Gabriel Wortman vehicle and Heidi Stevenson's cruiser. Many of you know about something that's floating around over on the Discord, to which I suppose I should apply back for. I'll apply back as a member. The physics of that accident are very, very concerning. I don't understand them. Hopefully we can get in contact. There is a guy I used to know who was an accident reconstruction police officer. Maybe I can find him. After the shootings were reported, the RCMP still did not try to get in front of the killer and stop him. Strange. Poor Joey and Gina. Between 11:06 and 11:23, the killer was less than a kilometer from the traffic circle where Stevenson was killed, now in the home of Gina Goulet, fellow denturist. He shot her and her dog. I thought it was 2 dogs. Am I wrong? Maybe just one. Changed his clothes and stole, maybe it was assassinated, stole her car, a Mazda 3, which is sometimes red, sometimes gray, but is definitely gray in the surveillance photo, which has the wrong time on it. Now, and at Enfield. The RCMP, and clearly she had a gray one, so I don't know where the red Mazda ever came from. The RCMP, meanwhile, was looking for Gabriel Wortman in Joey Weber's Chev tracker, issuing a tweet to that effect 11:24. Where was this out of? 11:24, he's in Brookfield in the Chev tracker. Little ways out of the way. Unfortunately, the killer, 11:24, he is in Milford in the tracker, according to them. Unfortunately, that was the second one. For the killer, Goulet's vehicle's gas tank may have been empty. May have been empty. That seems likely reason why he pulled into the Irving gas station in Enfield. Or perhaps he felt the gathering police presence around him. Instead of blocking off roads, the RCMP was going to businesses such as Sobeys and asking them to close their doors and scaring the piss out of them. Apparently, lots of those people are off of work still due to stress. Running around guns and Sobeys. It was around that time that Halifax police became engaged and began to set up a roadblock. Oh, this is smart. You know, roadblock? RCMP don't know that word. Don't know it, period. At exit 5A on Highway 102 heading into Halifax. One exits out of the airport. That would be because, let's see, does it talk about it? I think here, I haven't read this far, sorry. Or this. The Halifax Examiner previously reported another curiosity about the lookout for the killer. In the Halifax, Police Chief Dan Kinsella apparently ordered his officers to attempt to capture the killer and not to shoot him. Ooh, whatever's going on between the Halifax PD, that article about the person who, the source from Halifax PD, came forward with a bunch of information, is a spooky one. Is that this one? Let's see. Yeah, I believe this is it. Excellent article. I will link it here. Boom. Very interesting things in it. Never been answered to. Why is it Halifax? Is this a lab thing? No, I don't think so. They have their own labs. Whatever the case, the suspect in his vehicle at the Irving station when a Mountie, reportedly a canine officer who has stopped to fill up his vehicle, recognized him. A brief confrontation ensued and the shooter was killed. Okay, so let's just, because here we go with the cognitive disconnect. Let's see if you see, I don't know, a Mountie. Do you see a Mountie? Is that a Mountie? One tactical unit. That is one tactical unit. It's all of the other clowns hanging around. Do you think that this was going on? Does that look like one tactical unit? Does it look like maybe the press might have been there? Because we got different poses. Sometimes they're on the door. Let's see, where's the door photo? I like the door one. Okay, here we are. We got Blue in here. I like Blue. He's pretty cool. We got blue photo of blue running over. The video of that this is pretty good too. Here we can see the bullet holes in the window, which are kind of already a bit old, a little stale by this point. Whoever was in the gray Mazda, I'm assuming obviously it was Mr. Wortman, but he was a little cold, I think, by this point. And we got all of that. Now, where's the video of that? Signs down just so that we get extra good shots. No blue here. Blue's got to come in. We got 2 blues here now. I mean, it just starts getting ridiculous. Where's the door frame picture? There we go. Here's door now. You know, this looks kind of cool. It's pretty interesting to watch them kind of doing their different little poses and things. Because obviously the press is all there and they're all just waiting, taking photos and videos, and we have all kinds of RCMP running around. Where's the video of that? Doo-doo-doo. Anyway, moving along. Very interesting though. Doesn't jive mentally. One says there's 1 vehicle with 2 officers. One says, which the RCMP tell you, and the other one says what you see, which is tons and tons of RCMP, and they're doing different poses, and lots of press who just happened to be there getting Tim Hortons. Right. Meanwhile, but of course, this has changed in the Wikipedia. Elizabeth Macmillan's article. Oh, but not if you go back in the archive machine, because I believe I archived it. Anyway, meanwhile, the Department of Natural Resources helicopter was done its reconnaissance of the Portapique crime scenes and was returning to Halifax. In the distance, the black smoke of the 2 burning cars in the traffic circle. Sources say the pilot never engaged nor tried to hunt down the killer. Not sure who landed in the field. For some reason. Just west of Milford. Why? Just decided to land in a farmer's field. And we had somebody else getting dropped off down at the weigh scale out of the helicopter. All kinds of interesting things going on there. Obviously, operating a different frequency from the Mounties, the pilot was informed that the suspect was traveling to the Irving gas station at exit 7 on 102. He landed in a field, here we go, near the station, let off Mountie, who was with him. Pilot transmission says a gruff RCMP officer who identified himself as being the RCMP command post. Remember going through all this? Awesome stuff. Doo-doo. Hey, what's up, bro? What's up? What the Mountie had to tell him was that the exit had been brought down. The suspect had been brought down at the Irving station at Enfield exit 11. Exit 11, as it turns out, is in Stewicky. Stewie, I'm going to say, because I think that's somebody tried to help me with these pronunciations. Stewie, I'll just say. Approximately 43 kilometers north, it was a fitting end to an epic policing. Let's see. Let's get this extra big. Do-do-do-do. Oh, what's that? Failure. Not just failure. Lies. Complicity and I would say complicity in some senses. Definitely. And had a very active role in at least 9 deaths that day, if you don't have any any zero zipple of this. If you even have a modicum of a brain, we know that it's a hell of a lot more. All of it. Just like you guys have been saying. Thank God. God bless you all. Have a good evening, and thank you. And I don't know what to say, but I really appreciate all your support. I'm sorry for any misunderstandings between that person. Hopefully they do see this and understand that my heart and soul is in this, and for only one reason. I just care because I don't like lies and I love people. Good night, all. God bless.